going on, everybody? This is IHTV, and today we're going to compare Phuket and Krabi, Thailand. See which one's best for you, or maybe if both are best for you. Let's get into it. Okay, let's talk about some details here. Phuket is an island. Krabi is a province attached to the Malaysian peninsula here in Thailand. They're both in Thailand. They are about 3 hours apart by car, or if you took a ferry or speedboat, it's around 3 to 4 hours to cross the Andaman Sea with the PP Islands in the middle. PP Islands actually belong to Krabi. So if you're going to PP Islands, you're technically in Krabi. And Phuket is actually more of the beaches and the islands closer around the island that you'll see, but those are towards the south. There are many different islands in Phang Nga, which is actually the bay that actually butts up next to the area closer to Khao Sok. Now, if you wanted to go to Khao Sok, you could probably get to Khao Sok easily from Krabi or Phuket, but I wanted to lay out that geography first. Next thing I want to talk about is the nightlife. Phuket, hands down, has more nightlife than Krabi. That doesn't mean that Ao Nong doesn't have nightlife and that Krabi Town doesn't have a night market. It does. I would say Krabi Town and Phuket Town are very similar. But what Krabi doesn't have is that same kind of experience that you would get in Patong. Now, I would say Ao Nong is very similar to Kata. So I would say if you're a party person, you're definitely going to prefer Phuket. Phuket also has better beaches, which we will be talking about a little later. But partying, as far as that goes, that's on Phuket. Krabi is more of the adventure seekers destination. They've got rock climbing. They've got these dramatic beach cliffs with the limestones, more caves, more outdoor adventure here in Krabi than you would find in Phuket, in my opinion. Now, when it comes to transportation, Phuket has a bit better airport, more options, more flights in and out directly. For example, if I'm trying to fly from Krabi to Kuala Lumpur, it's going to be a little bit more difficult than if I was trying to fly from Phuket to Kuala Lumpur or Singapore or something like that. It is quite easy to get from Krabi to Bangkok, so maybe factor that in. Now, as far as transportation with tuk-tuks and taxis, there are plenty of taxis in Krabi and Phuket both. But I would say overall, you're going to have more options, more luxury vehicles, probably in Phuket. Phuket has more infrastructure, buses. They do have bus stops here in Krabi. They have bus stops in Phuket. I spent 2 weeks in Phuket just now. That was my 5th time in Phuket. And this is my 3rd time in Krabi. So I'm pretty familiar with what to expect when you get here in terms of the transportation also. Another thing that Krabi has that's really efficient is the longtail boat access that you can get from Ao Nong that'll take you over to Railay Beach. So it's pretty easy to get a longtail boat here. I'm not saying it's hard to get a longtail boat that'll take you around island hopping just like, you know, from the shore in Patong, but it seems like Ao Nong, Krabi has more access to getting out in the open water than you can get in Phuket. Phuket's got more of that jet ski, parasailing, that you don't really see here. Right now, I don't see any jet skis. If this was anywhere in Phuket, Patong Beach, you'd see parasails going, you'd see jet skis, you'd see banana boats. You don't see any of that here in Krabi. Now let's talk about money. Which one's more affordable? Well, I would say Krabi overall is cheaper than Phuket. I found some cheap accommodation and other things that were cheap in Phuket, but overall, Krabi is definitely a lot cheaper. I mean, my hotel last night, when I was looking, I saw that they were going for around $23 a night for a pretty good 4-star hotel. Here it is, not peak season, it's actually low season. Whereas a cheap 4-star hotel in Phuket right now is going for around $50. So you can get like a 5-star hotel here in Krabi for around $100. I'm staying at the Centaura. It's like $70 tonight. They say it's a 5-star, I would call it a 4-star. But an upper 4-star. Now, as far as infrastructure in general, I would say Phuket has more infrastructure. Krabi doesn't really have a lot of infrastructure. It's kind of a rugged place. It's probably one of the more rugged places in Thailand. Similar to what you would find in Chiang Rai in terms of infrastructure. Whereas Phuket's got a lot of modern infrastructure. Modern hotels, modern pipes, electricity. I haven't really seen any electrical outages here in Krabi. But it just seems like the infrastructure in general is better in Phuket than it is here in Krabi. Now let's talk about safety. I would say that Phuket is probably a little bit safer. It's not that Krabi is dangerous, it's just Phuket's just that much safer. The thing that remains the same problem for tourists is probably going to be the mopeds. people who rent mopeds in Phuket, that's like the #1 danger. I mean, you type in tourist accident in Phuket, you'll see on Google many different ones recently. And car accidents happen quite frequently here in Phuket. Now, if you come over here to Krabi, people rent motorbikes, but not as often, and I'm not hearing as much of the accident thing, although it does happen. So that's still the biggest thing to pay attention to. And then the food, you know, make sure that the food is cooked, make sure it's clean food, because you don't want to end up with a case of the bubble guts. They call it Bangkok belly, Delhi belly, Bali belly, you know, wherever you're at, they're gonna call it the belly. You have to take a round of antibiotics if you get a fever and chills. Those are the two main things. Now, as far as the people go, the locals, let's talk about this. You will notice a significant difference between the people in Thailand from the north and the people in Thailand from the south. They're just different. It's kind of like in America, right? The people in New York are different than the people in Florida. Well, I would say it's opposite here, whereas they say in the United States, the people in the north are not so friendly, like Boston and Massachusetts. New York, they say not so friendly. Whereas in the south, they say Southern hospitality. Well, here in Thailand, I would say that the people in the north just smile a bit more. They're a bit more friendly, easier going. It's not to say that people in the south are not. It's just, I would say that the people in the north are more friendly. And when it comes to comparing Phuket and Krabi, I seem to notice that a lot of people from the north migrate to Phuket, whereas they don't really migrate to this area of Krabi, which I think plays an ultimate underlying role in why they're just not as smiley. Not saying they're not friendly, just saying they're more smiley in Phuket than they are here.
And now for my final thoughts on going to Phuket or Krabi. I would say, because they are so close, try and do both. You have nothing to lose and everything to gain by going to both of these destinations, but they are dramatically different, from the beaches to the overall food, and just the vibe is going to be very different in both places. But because they're only 3 hours apart by boat, you take the ferry, or if you take the bus, even if you take a private car, it's still about 3 hours apart. You can easily do both. You can fly in from Bangkok to Krabi and then just cross into Phuket, or you can fly into Phuket and then cross into Krabi. Another one that people like to add on this journey is going to be Koh Samui. So if you would like to actually do all three, that's probably the best way to do it. I would call that the triangle. So that's Phuket, Krabi, and then Koh Samui, and you can even add in Koh Phanong and Koh Tao into that journey, and that will take you around 30 days to do all of that, to see it correctly and properly. And with that being said, that's going to conclude this episode of Island Hopper TV Travel Highlights. If you guys enjoyed this, please subscribe to this new channel here where we show you more up-to-date, live, behind-the-scenes stuff for the main channel. Also, you can watch some of our tours from Koh Samui, Phuket, and Krabi individually. Check the link description below and also watch the videos at the end.